Welcome to Meet the Candidate, and my guest for this session is Jared Frerichs, and he is running for Washington State Lieutenant Governor. Welcome, Jared.
Yeah, thank you, Sue Lani, for this opportunity.
Glad we could have a conversation. You said you've been watching our live stream earlier, so you know how this goes. My first question is, tell me about where you grew up and went to school.
Yeah, I was born in Hermiston, Oregon, but shortly after my birth, my family moved to Kennewick, Washington. And in Kennewick, we lived in the back of a computer store, in the stockroom of a computer store. I come from very humble roots, very meager background. And that childhood growing up around computers, my stepfather repaired and built computers, kind of fostered in me that love of technology and computer science.
Okay. Then did you go to the public schools in Kennewick or taught at home? Or?
I ended up going to public school in Waitsburg, Washington. It's a small town outside of Walla Walla, population about 1,200 people.
Yep, I know where Waitsburg is. It's kind of a cute little town, isn't it?
Yeah, that was rural life, was how I grew up in Eastern Washington.
So what kind of early work experiences did you have?
My first job was at the age of 12. I was a paper carrier for the Walla Walla Union Bulletin. And so every day after I get off of school, I would have to quickly roll my newspapers, go and deliver them on my bicycle, and then get ready for football practice after that.
What are some things you learned from that work experience?
Going door to door and collecting for the newspapers, as a young kid, taught me to, the skills to handle money, to ask for money, to not be afraid to go and knock on doors, which is very useful for, running a campaign.
Yeah, it'd be nice if we could do more doorbelling this year, but
yeah,
so far that's not been the case.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
So has there been some interesting travel experiences that have helped shape your view of the world?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a combat veteran, so my experience in combat was very formational. I was 21 years old. We served on a commissioned warship in the Northern Arabian Gulf. And we spent time fighting pirates with pistols and knives in the middle of storms at sea. And so there was a lot of harrowing adventures and bravery and courage and all those good things that you would want from a story like that.
Well, that could be an entire program in itself, I think.
Yeah.
So what did you bring back with you from that you're using as a base for life now?
A broader perspective of the world. Growing up in homelessness here in the United States, when I went to Iraq and I saw what is developing country level poverty compared to American poverty, really kind of shifted my perspective in a lot of ways about the broader challenges we face globally as humankind.
Okay. What kind of community work do you find yourself doing these days? Any kind of volunteer experiences that you're
Yeah, usually I just volunteer. Whatever candidate's running for office, I'll get involved with a campaign, maybe do some doorbelling or something like that. And a lot of my volunteer work, has just been this kind of campaign, carrying this campaign through this year.
Okay, well, what prompted you to get interested in politics?
At the age of 15, I had the opportunity to go to Olympia as a junior lobbyist for the American Cancer Society about raising tobacco prices, raising tobacco tax here in Washington. And being a kid from a trailer park in eastern Washington and then going to the state capitol in Olympia and seeing all that brass and all that marble, I was sold on the experience. I had a fantastic time, and I knew at that age of 15 that I wanted to run for governor when I turned 50. And so it's been a goal that I've been working towards now for over 20 years.
Okay. So one of the questions I've been asking, particularly with the office of Lieutenant Governor, because it's a little more obscure to people, is to describe how you see the responsibilities and the duties of the office of Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, the Lieutenant Governor, of course, is second below the Governor, and it's unique because the Lieutenant Governor is elected on its own, separate from the Governor. The primary responsibilities is to attend meetings and hope that the Governor doesn't die. But that's very watered down, and I'm being kind of tongue-in-cheek. But yeah, it's President of the Senate, and then fills in for the Governor when they are absent, and then there's a large role for the Lieutenant Governor in international relations and trade for the state.
Okay. Well, we're getting close to that kind of 8-minute mark, and I think I'll go ahead and let us go right to that last question, which is to make your pitch for why vote for Jared Frerichs for Lieutenant Governor of Washington State.
The reason you should vote for me for Lieutenant Governor for Washington State is I am the only Libertarian candidate in the race for Lieutenant Governor. It's time for us as Americans to break the duopoly that we have between the Democratic and Republican parties, and to get the parties listening to us and paying attention to us. And that's not going to happen until we start shifting our votes away from the D or the R and start looking to more viable candidates. So I appreciate that, and appreciate your time.
Well, I'm glad that you could come and join us in the studio today. It feels like an office today, but join us in the studio today, and good luck with your campaign.
Thank you, Sue Lani.
90 million Christians are eligible to vote.
40 million didn't.
That's 45% of eligible Christians not voting.
We can change that.
We believe We Vote was designed to arm people of faith with information on candidates
and how they line up with biblical and constitutional principles.
It's simply WeBelieveWeVote.com.
We're on a mission to rev up the 2020 election.
Tell your friends, your neighbors, and especially your pastors to rev up.
Be an educated voter.
Arm yourself with truth based on the Word of God.
2020, rev up.
Register, educate, vote.
Rev up.
Rev up.
Rev up 2020.